problems 3, 7, and 10 from your exam review. So the first thing we have to do is to do the labor variances. So the actual wage rate per hour was $15, and the actual total direct labor hours used was 22,000. So we've got $330,000 there. We put the 22,000 actual hours used. We use the standard wage rate here. And we get 308,000. And then we use the, basically the right-hand column is the flexible budget based on outputs. And we had 7,200 units manufactured. The standard is 3 hours per unit, and the standard wage rate is $14 an hour. And we get 302,400 there. Okay, so our wage rate variance is this one because only the rates are different. The amount of time is the same, so that would be 22,000, which makes sense, right? $1 times 22,000 hours. And then this one is the efficiency variance. And by the way, this is unfavorable. If the one on the right is larger, it's favorable. If the one on the left is larger, it is unfavorable. And so we have 5,600 unfavorable also. Okay, so so that's parts 1 and 2. Then part 3 calls us to do the journal entries for this. And when we're using standard costing, we apply it to the work in process at the standard rate, which is going to be the 302,400 from right there. Okay, and then we know we've got the wages payable, which is what they actually did, which is the 330,000 right there. And so unfavorable variances are always booked as debits. And so we have the labor rate variance of 22,000, and we have the labor efficiency variance of 5,600, and our debits and credits balance, and that's all there is to that problem. All right, number 7. I'll go ahead and do the whole problem here. We've got the variable overhead cost incurred. Now, we're just given a number here. We don't know the inputs per se. It was just 265,000. The total units manufactured, however, was 2,250. The standard is 250,000. So I'll find a little piece of scratch paper here. Divide that by 100,000 machine hours. That will be 2.5 dollars per machine hour is the standard. The total machine hours used was 96,000. The standard is $2.50. And that will be 240,000 there. And then we have the 2,250 units actually used. The machine hours, we need to find another piece of scratch or another spot of scratch paper. Machine hours is 100,000 for a master budget data of 2,500, and I believe that'll be 40 hours per unit. And it is. So we've got the 2,250 times 40 hours times $2.50 that we calculated here. And this will be 225,000 for that. Okay. So now we just calculate our variances. That'll be 25,000 unfavorable. And this is the rate variance. And this will be 15,000 unfavorable. Again, the one on the right is smaller. That's unfavorable. And so that's our labor efficiency, or our variable overhead efficiency variance. The variable overhead and labor variances use the same terms. So then we have the fixed overhead, and the fixed overhead is slightly different. In the fixed overhead, we're going to put the actual fixed overhead incurred, which is 54,000. That's just given to us. That part, that left-hand column is the same. It's the actual that happened. The middle, however, is actually the flexible budget. If you were to look on it at a big scale, it would actually be this one over here, and there would be no middle column here. But we usually put it in the middle column. And so that's going to be the budget. The total fixed overhead cost is just 50,000. And so this is the spending variance, 4,000. Again, same rule applies. If the one on the right is larger, it's favorable. So this is unfavorable. And then we put the applied over here on the right-hand column. And to get the applied, they use machine hours, right? And so it's going to be 50,000 divided by 100 machine hours is 50 cents per machine hour. Okay. Now the same standard of 40 units here. I didn't finish that out. I just did it on the calculator. Same of 40 here applies, and the same number of units. So we have 2250 times 40 times 50 cents. And so that's just 2250 times 20 is 45,000. And that's how much overhead we actually apply. Again, the same rule. This will be 5,000 unfavorable, and this is the production volume variance. This is the spending variance. Yeah. And so that's all there is to problem number 7. And number 10, we've got the variable overhead spending variance. Okay, so this is a three-way analysis of variance. So we've got the variable overhead flexible budget variance. Okay, so the variable overhead that was actually incurred was 31,350. All right, so the right hand column is the flexible budget based on outputs. And when we talk about flexible budget, that's what we're normally talking about. This middle column that we use, which we won't in this case because they're not asking for they're not asking for the rate and the efficiency variance. They're just asking for the total flexible budget variance. This middle column is actually the flexible budget based on inputs. This column that we normally call flexible budget is the flexible budget based on outputs. Given what we produced, what should it have cost? And so we're told the variable overhead is $3.10 a unit, and the actual volume was 9,600. Okay, so 9,600 is 29,760. Okay, so we just do those, calculate the difference between the two, and we get 1,590. And that's going to be unfavorable. Same rule applies. The one on the right is bigger, it's favorable. If it's smaller, it's unfavorable. And this is the flexible budget variance. Okay, then they're asking for the overhead spending and production volume variance. So our actual fixed overhead was 25,000. On that, and so we have the standard fixed overhead is $2 per unit. So we come over here and we had 9,600. Whoops. 9,600 times $2 per unit. I think that's 2,000. Yep, 19,200. Okay, now we are told that our denominator volume is 12,000 at $2 a unit. So that means our actual budgeted fixed overhead was 24,000. 2 times 12,000. This is 4,800. Unfavorable. Same rule. This is the production volume variance, because this difference is based upon how many we produced. We budgeted 1,200. Remember, this is 1,200 times 2. We actually back into that number. We take 2,400, divide it by 1,200 units that we're producing to get the 2. And so this volume variance, since this 2 is the same rate, is just the difference in how much we produce. And then this is the difference in how much we spent versus what the budget was. So this is the spending variance. And that is 1,000 again. One on the right is smaller, so that is unfavorable. All right. So that that finishes the one that I'm told you all couldn't see. So good luck to you.